Hello, hello, and welcome to another Super Mario All-Stars or Super Mario Collection, all for any percent race here on SpeedGaming. We've got GTAce and Roopert today, and I know that I'm sure every single time that somebody introduces the runners and talks about the race coming up, they're probably hyping you up about how good this particular race is gonna be. But I'm telling you, it's always true. This race is going to be excellent. GTAce is one of the best Mario runners around for all of these games. Absolutely excellent player. And he's had a lot of experience in these tournaments and racing as well, and doing well in them. And Roopert as well, very good runner on all of these games. He's also been doing a lot of All-Stars, all 5 warpless, all 500%, just like these types of big marathon runs he's been doing for a long time and racing for a long time. So this should be a very good race, probably very close, and we'll see just how close we get. Now, it doesn't look like you guys have been informed of the racing order yet. So how it works with a game like this, where they have to real quick introduce exactly what's happening here. We're playing Super Mario All-Stars, or in the Japanese version that most runners use, it's referred to as the Super Mario Collection. They have to race through they have to beat all 4 games that are on this cartridge, any percent. The only extra caveat to that, or the only extra rule to know, is that the Super Mario Bros. 3 any percent is a no ace type of any percent. So that's exciting. But yes, so they have to beat all 4 games. So, the runners ahead of time will agree on what order they're playing the games in. I'm not sure if we should just leave it a mystery and have you guys find out for yourselves, or if we should just talk about it. No ace, no arbitrary code execution. If you have ever seen a just straight up Super Mario Bros. 3 speedrun, it's one of those weird speedruns where they just kind of kick a bunch of Koopa shells around in some weird, seemingly random ways, and then all of a sudden credits are rolling. It's one of those, where people have found a way to trick the game into running the credits early. So, being that, this is a race, and we want to play the category where you actually play the game, we're doing the any percent no ace as far as Mario 3 is concerned. But anyway, they are off. Roopert, GTAce are off on the race. Looks like they have chosen Super Mario Bros. 1 as their opening game. And both players opted to go big. So that is interesting. Since these are any percent runs, they are a little bit quicker, than all of the warpless action that we've seen around in the last couple of years from this game, as far as being on SpeedGaming. But so this is any percent, meaning they will be taking the warp zones and going straight off to World 8. I'm liking the race strategies, though, of grabbing firepower. So the big thing about firepower is that it takes a little bit to collect the power-ups. It takes a few seconds to have to stop for them and grab them. But the reason that you would want to do that, even though it takes a few seconds, is that in this All-Stars version of the game, the Piranha Plants have much larger hitboxes than they do in the NES version, or the 8-bit version of the game. And so it's just a heck of a lot safer to be able to jump at the Piranha Plants and shoot them with fire. You can technically pipe jump over all of them, and I believe that the any percent world record runs for this game are going to do that, but it is extremely precise and difficult to pull off, and not at all something that is safe in a marathon setting. Ooh, very interesting difference in strategy here. So, as we saw, GTAce GTAce opted for the wrong warp strategy in order to not have to climb up the vine, but because it's a race and it would just absolutely kill your run to mess it up, he took a very like slow and steady approach to it. He got a lot of Mario bump just by using a zip at the beginning of the stage, and then very deliberately stopped, came to a complete stop on the pipe before going down it to make sure that he got the wrong warp. Roopert instead opted to go straight for the vine and just grab it as quickly as possible. So very, very interesting difference in strategies there. And so 8-1 is one of the biggest levels where that firepower strategy I was talking about really comes into play, where unless you're waiting for piranha plants, which you don't want to do in a race, there are a lot of piranha plants that you would have to pipe jump over in order to get through without firepower. But again, that is just very, very difficult on the Super Famicom version. So yeah, the firepower is paying off. Neither player has lost their firepower either. So this is a very mistake-free SMB1 run so far. GTAce stopping to let that Koopa jump over him, nice and steady. Roopert is a little bit of a way behind, but he got a little bit faster on that Koopa there, where instead of stopping in front of it. I don't know. You could debate how much faster that was. It wasn't very much faster that he jumped on top of the Koopa and then landed before jumping instead of waiting for it. But either way, that Koopa gave them both a little bit of trouble there, just having to slow their Marios down just a little bit. And just like that, we are entering the home stretch of Super Mario Bros. 1, the shortest game of the marathon here. Sorry, I got caught up for a second watching the game. But yes, so here we are in the final castle, and then next we'll see what game that they're moving on to next. But yeah, it seems just the any percent Super Mario Bros. Is such a short game that it, oh, GTAce got the wall jump. Let's see how Roopert handles this room. He bumped up on the pipe, not going very similar to the wrong warp room. Instead of going for the wall jump, Roopert is taking safe, tried and true strategies, and instead of going for the wall jump, he just very quickly went for the intended hidden block strat. However, then he got hit in the turnaround room by some bad setups there, so GTAce was able to tank the Bowser hammers at the end of the first game. Roopert is going to have to go much safer here with his he's got to wait for the Bowser now. Honestly, it really didn't take very long. In fact, I don't know if he lost any time, because the amount of time that Roopert had to wait for that Bowser was actually, I think, about the same amount of time that GTAce had to wait for the power down animation of getting hit by the hammers. So that might have been a zero sum there. Anyway, now we're on to Lost Levels, and this is really cool. We're seeing two different total approaches to this game. So 2J is an interesting game since you're actually able to choose Mario or Luigi. And they control a little bit differently in this game. It's not like Mario 1, where it's just who's player 1, who's player 2. That's also how Mario 3 is. Instead, with this game, it's Luigi jumps a little bit higher than Mario does. However, he also has like these kind of banana peel shoes where he slides around a lot. And so the route is a little bit different between the two characters, where Luigi is sort of able to mitigate certain platforming sequences a little bit and do some easier jumping. But that slippery banana peel shoes also sort of applies to his ability to accelerate. And so Mario accelerates just a little bit faster. So very much up to the different players' preferences on how they like to run the game. I love seeing one against the other during a race. That's the kind of thing that makes races so particularly exciting, is just seeing side by side the different strategies clash. And now it looked like Roop gained a little bit of time back on GTAce on that level just because of, but there it all goes away. I was just going to mention that Roop was able to hit the hidden blocks and get up the wall just a little bit faster. However, that death in 4-1 was pretty brutal and sent Roop back a long way. So GTAce is finding himself in a pretty cozy lead here in Lost Levels. We'll see how that goes for the rest of this game, since this is just such a brutal game that we can very easily see it swing both ways. But then we also have 2 entire games to go after this. Now, another thing I'd like to point out about Lost Levels that's interesting is the way that the two... You'll notice that in this game specifically, but not in Super Mario Bros. 1, the players are jumping backward at the flag, which is just a funny little trick that only works in the Japanese version of this game and is a large reason that players will choose to play the Japanese version of this game. Is if you jump backward at a... Oh, gosh, I'd love to talk about that jump that GTA's just nailed. But it's in the past now. We'll see a couple of them, though. But yeah, if you jump backward at the flag, then Mario or Luigi will descend the flagpole on the right side of it, which then when he hits the bottom of the flagpole, it actually saves time because he doesn't spend time turning around before dismounting the flagpole. Instead, he just dismounts it straight away. Nice clip from GTA's there. But yes, you'll see a few different strategies here, and just a couple that are the same strategy but are really, really kind of clenching for Mario. Where this game's got a few jumps in it that are like almost pixel perfect. Just these, Roopert got hit by just a terrible Mario physics fun thing that this game likes to do, where if you are falling down while you're pressing up against a wall and then there's a gap that you're trying to get into, if you're moving too fast or something to do with Mario, sometimes the character will just slip right past the gap and fall into the lava, and that just happened to Roopert. But he makes it through World 4 this time, joining GTAce in World 5-1. Ooh, GTAce does not quite get the super jump there. Extremely difficult strategy to pull off, and he just almost nailed it. But the Mario got lazy at the very end. He got cold feet and dropped back down like a cat that doesn't quite make it up to the jump that they just sized up for 10 minutes, and instead desperately claws at the furniture for a few seconds before plummeting to their embarrassing fall. Anyway, there are a few jumps where if you're playing as Mario, it is just an almost pixel perfect jump to get past specific gaps, while Luigi just kind of has a cozy, comfortable comfort cruise, sailing above it. And here we are. Roopert finishing up 5-1 while GTAce is making some short work of 5-2 here. And yeah, I would be interested to learn if there is like an official faster Lost Levels. I want to say that it is Mario, because Mario accelerates faster every single time that he starts running, So every single level that you spawn in, every single time you come out of a pipe, anything like that, Mario always gains just a tiny bit of time by accelerating faster. And I think that most of the levels you're able to get through without slowing down very much at all. And so the couple times where Luigi is able to kind of sail over something, I don't think makes up for that. But if I'm wrong, I would love to be corrected. Right, yes. Neither player is using the super secret Waluigi character, though. But I mean, I've heard that Waluigi is not as good as Mario or Luigi. He kind of has the worst of both characters. He slips and slides around and also doesn't jump as high. GTAce, there's been a couple times where it looks like he's going for flagpole glitches, and I respect it. I don't know if that one was one, but I swear earlier he went for one. I think way back in SMB1. I meant to point it out when I saw it, but I forgot. All right, so now we are actually closing out SMB2. So being that this is the Super Mario Collection, we can refer to this as Super Mario Bros. 2, and what most people know as Super Mario Bros. 2 is Super Mario USA. But yes, World 8, just a beautiful, beautiful exhibition of Super Mario level design. Just lots of fun flowing levels and hidden blocks right in front of Hammer Bros to mess you up, and just all kinds of fun stuff. Plus, you're in the clouds. All right, GTAce is what's the word I'm looking for? Initiating duck swim for the water section of the castle here. Very similar to SMB1, 8-4 is one of those puzzle castles where you got to go down the correct sequence of pipes, but it's a little bit more treacherous than the original. Also, there's a blooper, and then I love this part, just this long, dramatic hallway, letting you know that you're making your way up to the final encounter. And there's Bowser. But hang on, where's the X? Where's the end of the game? There's more level. Oh, it wasn't Bowser at all. There's the real Bowser. And GTAce just effortlessly jumps right through those hammers, gives Bowser what for, and he's moving on to Super Mario USA. And now GTAce is playing as Luigi, so now we do have a little bit of double Luigi action going on. And this is where the true weirdness of this category really starts to come to play, which is where now GTAce is really just playing a completely different game. Different physics, different enemies, different mechanics. I mean, it's hardly even close to the same game. But he's got to be just as proficient, just as knowledgeable, not only on his on how to beat the game quickly, on what the different tricks are, but also in order to also he's got to know his whole slew of race strategies, damage control, disaster recovery. All of these things that make a race exciting is now also being multiplied by the number of different games and mechanics that we're seeing. Yeah, it's a good thing he didn't switch to Doki Doki Panic, though, because he can't run in that game. Running is a luxury that they only added to the Mario version of the game, so I'm glad that that's the one that we're going with today. All right, and as we're seeing, lots of Luigi in the beginning of the game, but one thing that I love to see about speedruns of Super Mario USA is the different character choices for the different levels between runners. Like, of course, different characters are better for different levels, as you'll see a lot of runners agree on, but then there are some levels where different players just prefer different characters. For example, Roopert right now is using Toad on a level that GTAce just played through using Luigi. And then here's an interesting part of the route for Super Mario USA is it's actually faster in this game to warp to World 4, but then quit out to the menu and load World 3, and then use the warp zone that's in World 3 to get to 5. That ends up being a faster route. This game's just got kind of a different web of routes that you can take as far as where the different warp zones lead and all that. Is Mario ever preferred in the speedrun in this game? I think it varies from player to player, especially when it when it's a race, you know. Yeah. So in a race setting, you might even see different character choices than you do in RTA attempts, just because the strategies for certain characters might be more viable or more consistent for races. But here we go, Rupert doing some Mario strats here. And yeah, the nice thing about Mario is that he is a good middle ground between Toad and Luigi, where he is faster than Luigi, running wise. Not quite as fast as Toad, but he does jump ever so slightly higher than Toad. So there are situations where there might be jumps in a certain level that Toad just can't quite make, and he needs to do a super jump, you know. But if you're Mario, then you're not losing too much speed, but you're able to hop up those jumps more easily. I'm not exactly sure how much that comes into play in any percent, but definitely something I see in all level speedruns, which I'm a little bit more used to seeing. Interesting thing about the vine climbs that GTAce is doing right now is that you'll see when GTAce dismounts the vine, he actually jumps. And it looks like just a normal mechanic if you're used to playing like Mega Man or something like that, where you're able to... Wait a second, you can't do it in Mega Man, can you? Anyway, it looks pretty video gamey to just be able to jump off of a ladder or a vine, right? But you actually generally don't. It's the Mega Man thing of falling off of the ladder or the vine when you hit jump. However, in this game, after you dismount a vine, you actually have just a few frames where the game allows you to do an actual jump, and we see Rupert actually doing a bunch of them right now. So he climbed up the vines just a little bit faster than GTAce did. GTAce kind of used the vine jumps every time that he wanted to switch vines. Rupert was just going caca cuckoo, just jumping up the vines all over the place. And the very neat thing about that is with Luigi, it's actually easier to perform the vine jump than it is with some other characters. You get something like 8 frames, I think. I want to say it's 8 frames with Luigi after you dismount to be able to jump, while the other characters... Yes, Donkey Kong. That's a way better example of a game where you can jump off of ropes. Anyway, instead of better, I should say an example, because I said Mega Man, which is a game where you can't. Anyway, point is, with Luigi, you get way more frames to perform the vine jumps than you do with the other characters for whatever reason. And I want to say with Toad, you get the fewest. But here we are, GTAce making short work of the final levels, and Rupert is actually kind of just behind him here. GTAce is having a little bit of trouble getting over this super tough part. There, he made it. So one good reason to use Luigi in this level is that the screen that GTAce just skipped by making that huge jump is notoriously probably the most difficult section of the entire game. But with Luigi, you can just sail right over the boundary at the end by jumping off the top of that. I don't know what the shy guys that shoot are called. I'm gonna go crazy trying to remember. Sniffit! Is it Sniffit? Okay, jumping off the Sniffit's head. Anyway. Now I totally lost my train of thought because I was talking about it. Oh! GTA's just went to pick up that mushroom. and ended up getting shot by the Birdo. Interesting thing is that you actually have invulnerability frames as you're picking up an item in this game. So if he had waited a second longer before grabbing that mushroom, he could have used his invulnerability frames from picking it up for that Birdo's projectile to just go right through him. But instead, he picked it up a little bit early, and when Luigi finished the picking up animation, he ended up getting hit, losing a life, which actually changed the lead over to Roopert. So at the end of Super Mario Bros. 2 here, Roopert actually takes the lead after being behind on the first two games. Ho, that is big news. But we have an entire extra game. They might be in the final level right now of this game, but we have the final boss, and Roopert only has 1 HP right now. So he could very easily allow the lead to switch over again if he's not careful. Excellent key throw, though, on those two Sparkies? What are those things called? Anyway, now we see GTAce, though, not far behind. The lead did change, but he is not far behind at all. And here is Roopert onto the final boss, Wart, while GTAce is just finishing up the mini boss ahead of time, and he is on the last boss as well. GTAce with GTAce has the comfortable 2 HP, but Roopert just got hit off of his 1 HP. So they are still both on the final boss, but we see another lead change back to GTAce here. GTAce did just miss 1 vegetable throw. The vegetable throws on this final boss are pretty tricky. So if depending on how the two players perform on the boss, we actually don't know who's going to finish first here. Ooh, but Roopert just got his vegetable destroyed by Wart and his bubbles. I was watching the vegetable catch over on Roopert. GTAce is missing these vegetable throws. Nails one there though. Okay, and GTAce does finish off Wart there. And Roopert is right behind, though. All right, so GTAce comes out of Super Mario USA just a little bit ahead. While let's see exactly the numbers here. We'll say, boom, right on 239.5 is when GTAce gained control. Roopert at 245.5, so only 6 seconds behind Roopert is coming into Mario 3. So this is anyone's race here. So once again, this will be Super Mario Bros. 3 any percent no ace. So there will be no GTAce in this category. There'll be they'll be grabbing their warp whistles, making it through the game, fighting Bowser at the end, but they'll be doing it as quickly as possible. All right, and once again, just a totally different set of rules and mechanics here. P-speed is a huge factor of this game, where a huge part of moving fast in this game is learning to preserve your P-speed and being able to make jumps and navigate through different tricky parts of the level without slowing down at all. Now, I mean, that sounds normal. That's completely normal speedrun talk. I guess the thing that I'm trying to describe is the fact that in Mario 3, there's kind of a larger penalty for slowing down, because when you lose P-speed, it just takes longer to get it back in this game. And it can completely change the route of the level. So yeah, people nervous about hands in the chat. When the race is this close, that actually is something that is worth talking about. The idea that a race can come down to hands. And one thing I didn't point out is GTAce took damage after slipping behind the level for the first warp whistle, and Roopert actually took the lead so far here in Super Mario Bros. 3. So we're seeing it's only by like maybe a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds right now. Roopert is ahead, but there was another slight lead change there. And here we have the infamous double whistle. Using the whistle in the warp zone brings you straight to World 8 from World 1. Something that I'm sure many people never knew until they saw somebody else performing an any percent speedrun. Oh, and GTA's getting hit by an early cannonball here. In World 8. I think, you know, I imagine he's probably still going to be pretty safe. You know, he still has, you know, 2 hit points essentially for this auto scroller. But it is mentioning that it is worth mentioning. I don't think I said worth the first time. That Roop has 1 extra hit to give here. Did they do it in that movie, The Wizard? Really? I never saw The Wizard. When I was younger, I did see the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I believe we rented it from an old video rental shop. There we go. GTAce has regained his Tanuki tail. And, you know, I want to say that I watched it about 100 times during the 5 days that we had it rented, but I was young enough at that point to really not remember anything except for Dennis Hopper's hair. I was just thinking earlier today, I was thinking if I were to cast a Super Mario Bros. Movie in the style of original Super Mario Bros. Movie, you know, where we have like bad choices for actors and bad choices as far as how the world is going to be set. I was thinking Lawrence Tierney would make a good Bowser. That would be the best Bowser. Anyway, sorry if we get a little off topic during these auto scrollers. One thing about the Super Mario Bros. 3 any percent speedrun is that it is pretty loaded up with we see a double firepower pickup though. That is like the most tricky power up to grab in the entire game, unless it's a mushroom. If it's a mushroom, it just slips out and you collect it, no problem. But if you're wanting to grab firepower, it's very tricky to reveal the fire flower and then duck jump up into that little spot and then not get blasted by a cannonball on the way out, as we saw GTAce very skillfully grab it like just in time, having waited long enough to land on top of the cannonball rather than in front of it. But yeah, grab and fire. Excellent. But yeah, the latter half, or the latter most of Super Mario Bros. 3 80% is pretty heavily backloaded with auto scrollers. And here we see the double fire kills on Boom Boom, which is a very good reason to actually stop and pick up that firepower and maintain it for the rest of that auto scroller. Is the fact that the Boom Boom fight there is much faster. And here it is time for the hands. So Roopert actually got past the first hand. And did GTAce just slip right past those hands and I didn't even notice? I think GTAce got 0 hands. That lucky dog. Roopert got 1 hand, however. That puts him just a tiny bit behind here. And you know what? This race is so close that it almost seems like hands are gonna be what it all came down to. Let's just see, though. We've still got the actual World 8 to start. This game front loads you with 3 auto scrollers before you even get to level 1 of World 8. So we still have levels 1 and 2 of World 8. We have the final auto scroller and the castle. I'm very glad to see that neither runners got 2 or more hands. So absolutely, 1 hand for one runner, 0 for the other is pretty darn good. pretty good. And here we are, GTAce in the finally beginning World 8 in level 8-1. I've always thought that this level kind of looks like Donkey Kong because of the the lush forestation in the background. Oh, GTAce, no! He was gonna bop the Koopa, but he shot it with his fireball, and then ended up plummeting into the pit, giving Roopert the lead back. Roopert using his P-speed to just sail right over. It almost looked like hitting that Koopa, bouncing off that Koopa was a safe race strat, where he slowed down a bit in order to do that in the first place. Since on the second attempt there, GTAce did the intended P-speed strat of just bopping the green Koopa and going straight over. So then the backup strat, he shot the Koopa and fell into the pit. Dang, that is exciting. Wow. All right, so now that we're really getting into the final parts of this race, you could say, as we always like to say, it's Roopert's race to lose at this point. GTA's taken one more hit, got to be very careful now that he's Tiny Mario. Oh, I didn't even mention the fortress when I was talking about the different levels that they actually have to get through in World 8. I totally forgot about the fortress, which has this really neat strategy right here that, oh, the radioactive waffle took out GTAce's Tiny Mario, so he'll be restarting that. Meanwhile, Roopert nails the fast strat for the castle. All right, so GTAce has picked up a mushroom, so he's safe from a single hit now. We'll see if he can make the fast strat on the castle as well. Here it is. They nail that P switch, get up to P speed, right under the radioactive waffles there. That little hop there is to preserve P speed, just like I was talking about earlier. Oh, but he actually did a couple extra hops. I wonder if he is purposefully slowing down just for this firepower. Or if he's just grabbing it now that he already missed the fast strat. I think he may have already missed the fast strat due to the extra hops. But very short work of Boom Boom GTAce made there. Roto discs. I'll have to remember that. And good question on elimination. I believe this is the elimination bracket. I'm going to double check that for you right now. Since since we're in this auto scroller. But yeah, I believe that this is the elimination bracket, and so the loser of this round is out of the tournament. Here we are indeed. So the winner of this round goes on to face YMGC in the elimination bracket. YMGC, who very well-known world record holder of this category at one point. He was defeated by Mars02 just a few days ago. All right, Roopert coming right down to the wire. Hopefully, we don't see any any last minute well, I mean, maybe hopefully we do see a last minute swing in the other direction, because that's always exciting. But Roopert just nails the fire strat there and ends up finishing off Bowser with with some victory. With some victory fireballs there into the side of the screen, and then also playing along to the victory theme. So that was Very exciting finish for Roopert there. Finishing with an SRL time of 36 minutes, 33 seconds. GTAce here also getting to Bowser with the fireballs. Nailing the fire kill strat here. Well, he had kind of a weird aim, but was able to work with it anyway here. And now we get to see GTAce's version of the victory fanfare with Fire Mario. Looks like he opts to just kind of Tony Hawk around this Bowser stage like it was a half pipe. Hit that in. Oh, he nailed that Indy 900. And he moves on as well with an SRL time of 37 minutes and 41 seconds. And there we are. What an excellent race. Just super, super exciting to see so many lead changes throughout, especially being that GTAce was honestly pretty dominant for the first couple games. You know, he was quite a bit ahead going into Super Mario USA before Roopert ended up taking the lead just at the end there. Or wait. Actually, GTAce took the lead just before the end of Super Mario USA, but only just barely. It was like a 6-second difference. And then we ended up seeing it moving back over to Roopert over the course of Super Mario 3 for the win. And speaking of which, I have Roopert here in the commentary booth with me.
Evening.
Good evening. How are you feeling?
That had a very rocky start to it. I guess SMB3 is the only one out of the four that I was actually decently pleased with.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Super Mario Bros. 3 that really ended up turning it around in the end. Because yeah, as we were talking about, GTA's had the lead for the first two, and then toward the end of Super Mario USA is where it started to kind of shift back and forth between you two, and then 3 was just kind of back and forth the whole time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but for let's see, what all did I have go wrong? For SMB1, I didn't get the duck under the platform, so right away I was going to have to try to struggle to get the bumps to get the wrong warp. So at that point, I'm like, I'm not going to risk it. And I'm just going to go ahead and just take the vine. I haven't taken the vine in ages, but I went ahead and took the vine on that one.
Yeah, you know, you were so quick with the vine that I thought that it was intentional, that was just the plan from the start. But yeah, now that you mentioned it, I do remember you bumping at the beginning. Yeah,
that was not my initial plan, but after I kind of failed to get the duck under the platform there, I sort of I'm like, okay, I'm not going to screw around. Yeah, it's going to cost me some time to take the vine, but let's just take the safer route and do it that way.
Yeah, it looked great. And then Luigi strats for SMB2J. Take us through that.
I had a couple of trouble areas. Let's see. Well, one of them wasn't necessarily my fault. The death that I had on 4-4, where I went like down where the little elevator is, I was holding right, and Smokey, you gotta chill out, buddy. So I was holding right, but once in a while you'll sort of get that issue of where even though if you're holding right and doing everything correctly, you'll still end up in the lava anyway. So that one was kind of unfortunate. And then I had some trouble hitting the vine block in 5 too.
Right. Yeah, and believe me, I had your back on the holding right while slipping down through the gap issue. Definitely, that's something that just seems to happen sometimes.
Yeah. I feel like the rest of Lost Levels went okay. Aside from that, I believe it wasn't the greatest run, but it was okay. And then SMB2 overall went pretty well, except that for that death to Wart.
Oh yeah, that was super exciting because you went into Wart first, and then died and started over. But then like your Wart was a little faster than GTAce's, so it ended up just being super, super close there. All right, so next up, you're moving on to face YMGC. Now that you're moving on, so how are you gonna prepare for that?
I've got my work cut out for me for that one.
For sure. So are you planning on sticking with your like 100% or all levels speed runs that you've been doing, or are you going to focus a little more on any percent?
I'll probably still do some of that as well, but I need to brush up on on all 80% a little bit. I mean, I made some mistakes I wouldn't typically make, I guess, just because it's a race setting and all that. But I just need to brush up on a few things and hope for the best. Essentially, that's what the approach I'm taking going into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congrats on your win here, and yeah, good luck on the future race against YMGC. We'll be excited to see that one go down. And next up, I also have GTAce in the commentary booth. How are you doing?
I hate myself a little bit.
Only a little bit, though, right?
Only a little. Nah. I just can't believe I got no hands and then threw it away.
Yeah, the hands was a big deal because that totally did give you the lead right at the end there. I mean, there was a lot of lead changing back and forth throughout the latter half of this race. But the hands was a very big deal. And then, yeah, just the old shot the Koopa that you're trying to bounce off of.
Yeah, my thumb just slipped and hit Y when I tried to hit B.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been a problem if I got P speed, but I like unducked a frame too early or something and lost it at the very end. That's why I used the star there to like kind of guarantee that I get P speed.
Right.
8-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 8-1 can go really sideways really quickly.
And I knew the backup. All I had to do was bounce on that Koopa, and I don't know how that fireball came out. Like, that cost me the race right there. I don't know how. Unless I screwed up some elsewhere, which was possible, but that really sealed the deal right there.
Yeah, there's definitely like there's always like a couple different spots you can point out in the race where if any one of them didn't happen, then you could have come out victorious. But it is always really easy to point at the last one, because that was really the last thing to go wrong.
Yeah, I can point at that missed jump in 7-1. It like ate my input or something.
Are you talking 2J there with the super jump?
Yeah. No. I don't know why that happens. That's like an all-stars thing. I don't quite get that. 2U71.
Oh, right.
You bounce off the enemy while he jumps up and grab the ladder over the giant, whatever that is. Base.
Right, yeah. Because the super jump I'm talking about, I mean, that really only cost you probably 5 seconds or so.
Yeah, that wasn't a big deal, but I've never missed that jump before, so I didn't know what to do. And then I got hit, and I don't like the 7-1 Birdo fight, so I was kind of like, well, I guess I'm going to take a hit here and die. And that kind of tied it up a little bit. And then Wart refused to eat his last few vegetables, which didn't help.
Yeah, Wart was giving you guys both some trouble there, not eating his vegetables. Also, like destroying them with bubbles.
Yeah, I came into the Wart fight small, and I took a hit and died pretty early, so I had to start the fight over.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All things considered, there it was. You took a death to Wart, but it was good that it was like right away. All right. Any other thoughts? Well, GTA's first. Any other thoughts before we close it out here?
I got nothing, I guess.
No, that sounds good.
I guess I can say
yeah.
I was actually on PB pace until SMB3 happened, and my PB has no hands, so I was like 30 seconds ahead, despite my like not good SMB2. So I was on pace to PB by like 30 seconds until 8-1 happened.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, it was a really, really good run, and it was definitely a pleasure to watch. So thanks for participating in the tournament. It was just great to see your runs either way.
It was a fun tournament.
And then Roopert, any thoughts from you?
Not really much to add. Just I honestly, because like I wasn't paying attention to. I didn't have his stream brought up, or I wasn't paying attention to any of that. I was, just playing, and pretty much once things started going wrong early, and I'm like, oh no, it's going to be one of those. But and I actually, honestly, I feel kind of fortunate to escape this one. because I very easily could have lost this, and maybe I should have. You know, of course, I mean, like you said, you can point to this and point to that. You know, specific little things and all that stuff. But next week's going to be a tough one for sure. So I need to get some practice in for that one. But it's been fun so far. But I think that's pretty much all I had.
Excellent, yeah, and sounds fun. We're all looking forward to seeing that one, as well as the other races that are coming up, scheduled very soon here. And yeah, I mean, as far as the run went, it looked like it really shaped up for the latter half, and then that ended up being the difference maker. So yeah, speaking of coming up on Saturday, we've got 2 different races right back to back. They are going to be Marzo 2 versus ZZZPC, and then right after that, Revelite versus Roy LT. So don't miss that on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That is going to be exciting. So thanks everybody for watching, and thanks to SpeedGaming for hosting us, and to everybody for organizing and running the tournament. But most of all, thanks for watching. Have yourselves a good night. Bye-bye!